Hello students, and welcome to another lecture from Architects Academy. Today we are going to discuss the terminology of retaining walls. So let us go to the first slide. The sketch is showing you the different terms used in a retaining wall. So let us just see them one by one. This particular sketch is showing you a retaining wall with the vertical portion of the retaining wall, which is called as a stem. The horizontal portion of the retaining wall, which is going to act like the foundation, is going to be called as the base. The portion of the base which projects on the side of the retained earth is going to be called as the heel. The portion of the base which projects on the side where there is no retained earth is called as the toe. You will see that the toe has got a peculiar shape of this type. That is, it has been increased in its depth here. The reason for this is that it will prevent the sliding action caused due to the retained soil. Normally what happens is that there are two types of actions which are going to take place on the retaining wall. One is going to be the bending of the stem, and second is going to be the sliding of the base. So by increasing the height at the toe, what we are doing is we are creating more resistance to the sliding action. Now the heel has got a specific purpose. You will see that the retained soil is imposing a load on the heel, and therefore you will see that the overturning of the retaining wall, which is caused due to the retained soil, is counterbalanced because of the load of the retained soil on top of the heel. So this is the purpose of the heel. Now you will see that there are also holes within the retaining walls kept at around 1 meter distance apart in the height, also along the length. These holes are called as weep holes, and normally they are constructed out of pipes which are embedded in the retaining wall during its casting. The function of the weep holes is to let out the water which is retained in the soil to the outer surface. Now it is important to let out the water through the weep holes, because what happens is, if there is a lot of water which is retained in the soil, the water is going to impose additional load on the retaining wall, and if the water is not released, this additional load can cause a failure of the retaining wall. Now to see that the weep holes are not clogged with the earth, what you will see is that while backfilling, the part of the retaining wall is filled, the backside of the retaining wall is filled with a coarse material like gravel. The function of this gravel is twofold. One is that whatever water is present in the soil here gets percolated down to the weep holes and passes through the weep holes. And second, the gravel also prevents the soil from going inside the weep hole and clogging it. So this is called as a gravel fill. You will also see a term called as surcharge. Now, apart from the weight of the retained earth, there could be additional loads which can be coming on the retaining wall, such as, say there is a road here and there are vehicles plying on the road. Now this load of the vehicles is also going to be transmitted to the retaining wall, and this additional load, apart from the load of the soil and the water, is going to be called as the surcharge. You can also see here a line, a dotted line, which is showing you the line of angle of repose. We have made a separate video lecture on angle of repose, but just to summarize, you will find that the angle of repose defines the angle at which this soil is going to come at rest if dropped on a surface, and therefore you will see that the angle of repose, this line defines the amount of soil which is going to impose a load on this retaining wall. So you will see that the portion of the soil, like the triangular portion here along its entire length, is going to impose a load on the retaining wall, while as the soil beyond this dotted line is not going to have any action on the retaining wall. So this is the terminology of retaining wall. This can be asked as a short note in the exam, and in the short note you have to give the different names which have been shown here and give a short definition of each of these terms. Thank you.